Welcome back, and here's a health informatics data and AI talk focusing on a recent study exploring how large language models could be used in medicine. We're diving into the question of, can AI actually think like a doctor?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. This study attempts to understand what's happening inside the black box of these large language models, or LLMs.
Okay,
Mhm.
the researchers used GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 and gave them real medical exam questions to answer. What's really intriguing is that they didn't simply ask for a diagnosis.
Oh, right.
They used a method called prompt engineering to instruct the LLMs to explain their reasoning. Imagine asking the AI to not only tell you what it thinks the diagnosis is, but also to show its work and justify how it arrived at that conclusion.
So they asked the AI to think like a doctor.
Precisely. They prompted the LLMs to mimic various approaches doctors use, including differential diagnosis, where you systematically create a list of possible diagnoses and eliminate them one by one based on the evidence. They even had the LLMs try their hand at intuitive reasoning, which is more like a doctor's gut feeling based on years of experience, and Bayesian inference, using probabilities to update beliefs as new information comes in.
What they found was quite interesting. GPT 3.5, the older model, struggled with the more complex reasoning prompts, particularly differential diagnosis. However, GPT-4, the newer model, could handle these prompts without a hitch. It could accurately describe the steps a doctor might take to arrive at a diagnosis.
Does that mean GPT-4 is actually thinking like a doctor?
That's the million-dollar question. It's more likely that GPT-4 is incredibly skilled at explaining its process in a way that we humans can understand, even if its internal process is quite different from a human doctor's thought process.
So it's not necessarily thinking like a doctor, but it can describe the process in a way that makes sense to us.
Right.
That's still pretty impressive, though.
It is. However, this raises a critical point about interpretability in AI. Just because we can follow the AI steps doesn't mean we fully comprehend how it arrived at those steps. There's a difference between describing the process and truly understanding the underlying mechanisms.
That's a crucial distinction. It's like a student who can recite a formula from memory, but doesn't grasp the underlying concepts.
Right.
They might get the right answer, but their understanding is limited.
Exactly. And in the context of medical AI, this distinction is even more crucial. Lives are at stake, so we need to be certain that the AI's reasoning is sound, not just that it sounds convincing.
Right.
Yeah.
This idea of interpretability really makes me think about the role of trust in medicine. Like, if we can understand how an AI arrives at its conclusions, does that make us more likely to trust its medical advice?
That's a crucial question, and it gets to the heart of why this research is so significant. Historically, AI has been viewed as a black box. We input data, we receive an output, but we don't necessarily know what happens in between.
Yeah. And in medicine, that lack of transparency can be a real barrier to adoption. Doctors are understandably hesitant to rely on a system they don't fully understand, especially when patient safety is on the line.
Precisely. But imagine a scenario where a doctor uses an LLM as a diagnostic tool. Instead of just receiving a diagnosis, they also get a clear, step-by-step explanation of the AI's reasoning process. This allows the doctor to scrutinize the logic, identify potential biases, and ultimately make a more informed decision.
So it becomes a collaboration, not a replacement.
Right.
The AI offers its insights, but the human doctor remains the ultimate decision maker, using their expertise and judgment to evaluate the AI's recommendations.
That's the ideal scenario. And this study suggests that LLMs like GPT-4 have the potential to facilitate that kind of collaboration. The ability to understand the AI's reasoning opens up a whole new level of transparency and trust.
It's like having a second opinion, but with the added benefit of being able to see how that second opinion was formed.
Yeah.
You can trace the logic, identify the evidence that was considered, and even spot potential flaws in the reasoning.
And that ability to scrutinize the AI's thought process is crucial for building trust. It allows doctors to use AI as a tool to augment their own expertise, rather than blindly following its recommendations.
The study also looked at how well these LLMs performed on particularly challenging diagnostic cases from the New England Journal of Medicine.
Right.
These are cases that often stump even experienced doctors.
They found that while GPT-4 could still perform well on these complex cases, the advantage of using specific diagnostic reasoning prompts wasn't as clear.
It's interesting that even with these prompts designed to guide the AI's reasoning, it didn't necessarily perform any better on these particularly difficult cases. What do you make of that?
It suggests that GPT-4's reasoning, even if we can understand the steps it takes, might be fundamentally different from a human doctor's. It could be that GPT-4 is already maxing out its capabilities with the information it has, and the prompts don't make much difference at that level. Or it could be that GPT-4 is simply very good at recognizing the type of explanation we humans find convincing and tailoring its response accordingly.
So even though it can present its reasoning in a way that we understand, we still don't have a complete picture of how it's arriving at its conclusions.
Right.
There's still a degree of mystery there.
Exactly, and that's an important point to remember. We shouldn't assume that just because we can understand the steps, we fully grasp the underlying mechanisms of the AI's thought process.
It reminds me of that saying, we shape our tools, and then our tools shape us. As we develop increasingly sophisticated AI, we need to be mindful of how it's shaping our understanding of medicine diagnosis and even what it means to be a doctor.
That's a profound thought, and it highlights the need for ongoing research and discussion as we venture further into this uncharted territory. The potential benefits of AI in medicine are immense, but we must proceed thoughtfully and critically.
It's fascinating to think about the potential for AI to, augment a doctor's expertise, but I'm also curious about the, limitations of this technology. The study also analyzed the accuracy of GPT-4's reasoning, right?
Yeah, they had doctors review GPT-4's explanations even in cases where the AI got the diagnosis wrong. Okay, what they discovered is quite revealing. When the AI's diagnosis was incorrect, the reasoning often contained factual errors or illogical leaps.
So you could actually see the AI making mistakes in its thought process errors that a human doctor would be less likely to make.
Precisely. It's almost as if you can see the AI tripping up, highlighting the fact that its reasoning abilities, while impressive, are not yet equivalent to a human doctor's.
But when the AI arrived at the correct diagnosis, the reasoning was usually sound and made sense.
Right.
Even if the exact mechanism by which it arrived at the conclusion remains a bit of a mystery.
This is why the ability to scrutinize the reasoning becomes such a crucial safeguard. Even if the AI gives you the right answer, it's still essential to check its work and ensure it reached that conclusion through a valid process.
Yeah, that underscores the importance of collaboration.
Right.
Having a human doctor with their years of training and experience involved in the process is vital.
Yeah.
They can spot inconsistencies, challenge the AI's assumptions, and ultimately ensure the best possible outcome for the patient.
Absolutely. It's not about replacing doctors with AI. It's about empowering them with new tools to make faster, more informed decisions. AI can act as a powerful assistant, but the human doctor remains the ultimate authority responsible for evaluating the AI's insights and making the final call.
This study paints a cautiously optimistic picture of the future.
Hmm.
AI has enormous potential in medicine.
Yeah.
But it's crucial that we continue to prioritize transparency and interpretability. We need to understand how these AI systems work, not just what results they produce.
And as AI becomes increasingly sophisticated, collaboration between humans and machines will be paramount. Doctors will need to develop new skills in interpreting and validating AI's insights, while AI developers must prioritize creating systems that are transparent, user-friendly, and aligned with human values.
It's an exciting and rapidly evolving field. This study provides a glimpse into the progress being made and the challenges that lie ahead. We're on the cusp of a new era in medicine, one where AI can play a transformative role, but only if we proceed with both enthusiasm and careful consideration. And that wraps up our deep dive for today. We hope you found this exploration of AI in medicine as fascinating as we did. It's a topic that's sure to spark debate and raise important questions as we move forward. See you next time for another deep dive.